A single leaf contains more vitamin C per gram than an orange. Arctic explorers in the 1700s documented survival through winters by consuming a small forest plant that grew beneath snow. British naval records from 1795 show sailors avoiding scurvy not with citrus, but with a clover-like herb harvested from coastal woods. The Royal Society of London published findings that this plant delivered 80 to 300 milliliters of ascorbic acid per 100 grams of fresh material, 3 times the concentration of commercial orange juice. Yet today, it grows wild across every continent except Antarctica, completely ignored. We walk over vitamin reserves while carrying supplement bottles in our bags. The industrial food system taught us to seek nutrition in packages, not on the ground. This plant refused domestication because it didn't need human intervention to thrive. It grows in shade, tolerates frost, and multiplies without fertilizer. The system demands crops that require constant input: seeds, chemicals, machinery. A plant that simply exists, offering free nutrition, has no place in that economy. Wood sorrel grows at your feet, producing heart-shaped leaves loaded with compounds modern supplements try to replicate. If you enjoy learning about plants that challenge everything grocery stores taught you, subscribe to this channel for more botanical revelations. Wood sorrel produces oxalic acid, the compound responsible for its sharp, lemony taste. This isn't a design flaw, it's a defense mechanism perfected over millions of years. The same acid that deters most herbivores also acts as a powerful preservative, keeping vitamin C stable even in freezing temperatures. Laboratory analysis reveals concentrations between 300 to 1,200 ppm of oxalic acid per 100 grain of fresh leaves, varying by species and season. Compare this to spinach, which contains 600 to 970 milliliters per 100 grams and sits proudly on supermarket shelves. But the system never marketed wood sorrel. It never needed to be watered, never required pesticides, never fit into plastic clamshells. The plant produces beta-carotene concentrations reaching 2 to 4 milligrams per 100 gram during peak growing season, comparable to carrots harvested from industrial farms. It synthesizes calcium, iron, and potassium without human assistance. The soil feeds the plant feeds anyone willing to recognize it. Yet we've been trained to see it as decoration, not sustenance. The distinction isn't botanical, it's economic. Indigenous peoples across North America consumed wood sorrel for thousands of years, documented in ethnobotanical surveys from the Smithsonian Institution. The Cherokee used it specifically during early spring, when other food sources remained scarce. European settlers in the 1600s adopted the practice, calling it sour grass, and incorporating it into survival rations. German military medical texts from 1847 prescribed wood sorrel tea to troops suffering from scurvy during long campaigns. The plant wasn't considered folk medicine, it was standard protocol. Irish families during the Great Famine relied on foraged sorrel when potato crops failed, as recorded in historical accounts from Cork County. But industrial agriculture demanded monoculture. It demanded crops that could be planted in straight rows, harvested by machine, and transported across continents. Wood sorrel offered none of that. It offered only nutrition, resilience, and the radical concept that food could exist without ownership. By 1920, seed catalogs had erased it from commercial consciousness. The plant that saved generations from vitamin deficiency became classified as a weed. This wasn't botanical ignorance, it was systematic exclusion. Modern spectrometry reveals wood sorrel contains anthocyanins, the same antioxidant compounds found in blueberries and marketed in expensive supplements. Fresh leaves deliver approximately 2 to 5 milliliters of total phenolic compounds per gram of dry weight. The vitamin C content fluctuates with light exposure. Plants growing in partial shade produce 120 to 140 milliliters per 100 gram, while full sun specimens can reach 250 milliards. For context, a standard orange provides about 53 meters per 100 gram of edible fruit. The difference is dramatic. But oranges can be trademarked, branded, and transported globally in refrigerated containers. Wood sorrel simply grows. The plant synthesizes vitamin C through the same biochemical pathway as cultivated crops, yet requires no irrigation, no fertilizer, no human labor. Agricultural economists call this zero-input production. The food industry calls it worthless. Chemical analysis also shows calcium concentrations between 60–100 milliliters per 100 grams of fresh material. However, the oxalic acid content can bind some minerals during digestion, reducing bioavailability. This is the same limitation found in spinach, chard, and beet greens, all sold commercially. The difference is that wood sorrel never required a marketing budget. Wood sorrel belongs to the genus Oxalis, containing over 500 species distributed across temperate and tropical regions worldwide. The most common North American species, Oxalis stricta, grows aggressively in disturbed soils, gardens, and forest edges. Its leaves exhibit photonastic movement, folding downward at night or during intense heat to reduce water loss. This mechanism, controlled by changes in turgor pressure within specialized motor cells, demonstrates sophisticated environmental adaptation. The plant produces small yellow flowers with 5 petals, blooming from late spring through early autumn. Each flower develops into an explosive seed capsule that can eject seeds up to 3 meters away when touched or dried. This ballistic dispersal ensures colonization without human intervention. The root system forms small bulbils underground, allowing the plant to survive winter and regrow from stored energy reserves. Botanists classify it as a perennial, though it behaves like an annual in harsh climates. It thrives in acidic soils with pH levels between 4.5 and 6.5, conditions where many commercial vegetables struggle. The plant requires no cultivation, no breeding programs, no genetic modification. It exists exactly as it has for millions of years, offering the same nutritional profile to anyone who recognizes its value. We've simply chosen to ignore it. Agricultural corporations never patented wood sorrel because they couldn't improve it. The plant already grows in nearly every climate zone, reproduces without assistance, and provides nutrition without inputs. There's no profit in perfection. Seed companies survive by selling annual varieties that require repurchasing every season. Wood sorrel spreads itself, denying that revenue stream. Food processors demand crops with uniform size, predictable harvest windows, and long shelf life after picking. Wood sorrel varies wildly in leaf size depending on growing conditions, produces year-round in mild climates, and wilts within hours of harvesting. It cannot be mechanized, cannot be standardized, cannot be controlled. The system categorized it as invasive, not because it harms ecosystems, but because it resists commodification. Botanical surveys show wood sorrel actually improves soil nitrogen content through symbiotic relationships with soil bacteria. It's classified as a weed simply because it grows where humans didn't plant it. This definition reveals everything about modern agriculture. Value is determined by ownership, not by nutrition. The plant exists outside that framework, offering abundance without asking permission. The oxalic acid content in wood sorrel serves multiple ecological functions beyond deterring herbivores. Research published in the Journal of Chemical Ecology demonstrates that oxalic acid helps the plant chelate heavy metals from contaminated soils, preventing toxic accumulation in leaf tissue. This same mechanism allows it to thrive in urban environments where industrial crops fail. The compound also exhibits antimicrobial properties, protecting the plant from fungal infections that devastate monoculture fields. Studies show oxalic acid concentrations vary seasonally, peaking during spring growth and declining in late summer. This variation suggests the plant regulates production based on environmental stress factors. Human concerns about oxalic acid focus on its ability to bind calcium and potentially contribute to kidney stone formation in susceptible individuals. However, historical consumption patterns show no evidence of widespread health issues in populations that regularly consumed sorrel as part of diverse diets. The key is context. The same acid found in wood sorrel exists in spinach, rhubarb, almonds, and chocolate, all commercially sold without warning labels. Wood sorrel never received the same acceptance because it never generated profit. The compound that makes it resilient also made it unmarketable. Nature designed a perfect survival mechanism. Economics transformed it into a liability. Wood sorrel grows now, in this moment, across forests and gardens, completely indifferent to human recognition. It doesn't require validation from agricultural institutions or approval from food safety agencies. The plant simply exists, performing photosynthesis, producing vitamins, and dispersing seeds according to patterns established long before industrial farming emerged. Every spring, it demonstrates that nutrition doesn't require supply chains, shipping containers, or plastic packaging. It offers a challenge to the premise that food must be purchased. Botanical knowledge represents a form of independence that threatens systems built on dependency. Learning to identify wood sorrel means understanding that abundance exists outside commercial channels. The revolution isn't violent, it's growing quietly beneath our feet, waiting for recognition. History shows that forgotten crops return when centralized systems fail. Wood sorrel survived centuries of agricultural dogma precisely because it needed nothing from humans. It will continue growing long after current farming practices collapse under their own complexity. The plant teaches a simple lesson. Resilience comes from existing outside systems that demand participation. Nature doesn't negotiate with economics. It simply persists, offering gifts to anyone willing to look down instead of toward shelves.